The cold, sterile air clung to my skin as I stepped through the heavy steel doors of the morgue. The flickering fluorescent lights above cast eerie shadows that danced along the walls, creating a macabre ballet. I shivered, not from the chill, but from the palpable presence that hung in the air, a presence that had haunted this place for far longer than I could fathom. I was the night shift attendant, the solitary soul entrusted with the lonely task of tending to the departed. It was a job most avoided, but I found solace in the quietude of the morgue. Little did I know that silence was a facade, masking the lingering echoes of a soul trapped between worlds. It began with faint whispers, barely audible, like the rustling of leaves in a long-forgotten forest. At first I dismissed them as the product of my tired mind, the echoes of a day spent in the company of the deceased. But as the nights wore on, those whispers grew bolder, more insistent. They seemed to call my name, a mournful plea that crawled under my skin. One fateful night, as I prepared to perform my solemn duties, I saw her. A figure, ethereal and pale, stood at the far end of the cold chamber. Her long, tangled hair cascaded around her face, obscuring it from view. She wore a tattered hospital gown, a relic of the past. Her eyes, if she even had any, glowed with a hollow light. I froze, my breath catching in my throat. Every instinct screamed at me to run, to flee from this unearthly presence. But something held me there, a morbid fascination mixed with a peculiar empathy for the lost soul before me. The figure glided closer, each step a whisper against the sterile tiles. She moved with a painful grace, as though every motion was a reminder of the life she had once known. I could feel the weight of her sorrow, an oppressive force that settled over the room. As she drew near, I could hear her voice, clearer now, though still laced with an otherworldly quality. "Help me," she implored, her words seeping into my very soul. "Release me from this wretched place." Her voice was a mournful melody, a symphony of despair that resonated with the very core of my being. I could not turn away. I knew then that I was bound to this tormented spirit, that fate had intertwined our paths. Over the nights that followed, I delved into the archives, seeking any trace of her existence. It was a painstaking journey through records that spoke of tragedy and pain. I discovered that she had been a patient, a victim of some forgotten ailment that had claimed her life. Her name, too faded with time, was a mere whisper in the annals of the forgotten. With each passing night, our connection deepened. She shared her memories, fragments of a life cut short. I could feel her longing for release, for the peace that had eluded her for far too long. I vowed to find a way, to unravel the threads that bound her to this wretched place. The answer lay hidden in the darkest corners of the morgue, in cryptic texts and ancient rituals that spoke of crossing the threshold between the living and the dead. With trembling hands, I gathered the tools, my heart pounding in anticipation and trepidation. The night arrived, as black as pitch, with an oppressive stillness that hung heavy in the air. The figure stood before me, her presence both a comfort and a reminder of the task at hand. With the words of the ritual on my lips, I began the incantation, calling forth the forces that would bridge the gap between worlds. A surge of energy coursed through the room, a tempest of ethereal power that threatened to consume us both. I could feel her essence intertwining with mine, a dance of souls in the cold embrace of the morgue. And then, with a final crescendo, it was done. She stood before me, her form solid and real, no longer bound by the chains of the afterlife. Her eyes, once vacant, now held a glimmer of gratitude that pierced through the darkness. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice a gentle breeze that brushed against my cheek. And then, with a final, lingering touch, she was gone. The morgue was silent once more, the shadows no longer dancing their eerie ballet. I was alone, but not truly so. The memory of her presence lingered, a bittersweet echo in the chambers of my heart. From that night on, the morgue held a different kind of silence, a peace that settled over the departed and the living alike. And though the world may never know the tale of the ghost who dwelled in the morgue, Her memory would forever be etched in the heart of the night shift attendant who dared to listen.